Ciao ragazzi, welcome to JSG Podcast. Greetings to all Bianconera families around the world. Welcome back to the JSG Podcast channel, the channel brought to you by Juventus Club of Singapore. For today, we have a special guest for episode number 20. But before that, let me shout out to all subscribers, viewers, your like, your comment on this channel. So, stay tuned. Let's start the show. Hello Juventini of the world. Welcome back to JSG Podcast channel. For today, the episode number 20. I have a very special guest all the way from India, from the Juventus Club of India. None others than Dhananjay. Dhananjay, welcome to the JSG Podcast.
Ni hao, my friends at JSG. Really glad that we connected. A big hello from Juventus India. To start with a brief introduction, at Juventus India, it's this really small community of really big fans. All of us are equally devoted, and all of us come with our own unique histories. India being a very large country in terms of population, it's really nice to have built this community over an extended period of time. Every person here has been a fan, from the early 2000s, if not the late 90s. Yeah. So it's great to connect with like-minded people that know the history of the club. Yeah. We're not necessarily following the club only for a particular player. We're just like following the club for the history and the legacy that it has had over these years. Yes. For me personally, I have been a Juventus fan from the year 1995. I've followed the likes of everyone from the Vialis to the great Roberto Baggio. Yeah. Of course, Alex Del Piero being Alex Del Piero for all of us. I was a huge fan of the Marcello Lippi era, which then, moved into being the Ancelotti couple of seasons. Having Lippi again, followed by the likes of Capello. Of course, we did hit a little bit of a, controversial mark in our history, unfortunately, which is really speaks more poorly of the managing committee of the league than it does of our club, and it, in spite of all of those challenges, it just fills me with so much pride that Juve has come back bigger, badder, and better than ever. I'm absolutely hats off to the management. When I see the way we've structured the club from the ground up to be another force to reckon with, not just in Italy, but Europe as well, it fills my heart with immense joy and pride.
So, by the way, is there any person that influenced you to become a Juventini? Is there
Iskandar, funny story, Iskandar. Back in the day, there was very little Serie A that we got to see here in India. What we really got to see was a lot of Champions League matches, especially in the knockouts. And at the time, Ajax was a very, very storied team. There was a lot of press around them. Wow. And Juve were taking them on in the final. I suddenly happened to see the game. Yeah. It's just so happened that I fell in love with the strip. I fell in love with the swag of Luca Vialli, the way he walked onto the pitch, the way he conducted himself. Juve eventually ended up winning, and then I saw them the next 2 seasons in the Champions League. They had by far the best looking kits. They played the best football. They had this talismanic looking hero, Alessandro Del Piero. Yes. And one thing led to another, and I was just hooked. And from then, it's just been season after season. I don't miss a game, as far as possible. Even if I'm traveling, I will reschedule my travel dates according to a Juve game, just to ensure I miss it. I'm a bit of a jersey collector. I collect, kits from that era all the way to now. And I've had a lot of favorite players. You see your legends come and go. It breaks your heart. but you learn to live with it because the club is bigger than everything else.
Is there any specific one player that you adore the most in Juve, the history of Juve until the recent squad? Who is the player that you adore the most in Juventus?
It's been Iskander. I was a huge. I mean, Roberto Baggio is my all-time greatest Italian player. You know, he just so happened to be a Juve player as well, which is great. Del Piero has a very special place in my heart. Gigi Buffon, of course, yeah, absolute legend. You know, Zizou for me is probably in my mind, you know, the greatest to have played the game. You know, with due respect to Ronaldo and Messi, I think he was a magician, and I was just so happy that he played for our club.
Yeah.
Of course, there's Pavel Nedved. You know, he's another very storied player. And in the recent history is, you know, since the Conte seasons, it was Pirlo just coming in and doing his thing. Of course, Vidal, he had a part to play. In the present day, though, Iskander, I have to say I'm very happy with the route that Juve is taking. You know, there's a lot of young talent that's coming through. I feel we give them a couple of seasons. This team could be onto something. You know, it's going to build the next core for of the successful seasons to come. You know, I think we've done all the groundwork. We're just one or two players away from, you know, building another 10 seasons of great success.
Okay. So when you say the Juventus club India established in the early years 2000, am I right?
Sorry?
The Juventus club of India established in early 2000?
No, we were established a little later than that. But a lot of the fans that are part of Juventus Club India started following Juve in the early 2000s.
But are you shocked to hear that there are so many Juventus fans in India at that time?
I'm very happy, Iskander, that, you know, I think also if we all jog back, you know, Juve was a very successful team in the 90s in Europe. And in the early 2000s, you know, you had players of the class of Ibrahimovic. We had a couple of good seasons in Europe as well when Lippi had returned just before Capello. So Juve got a lot of exposure at that point. We were a very feared team in Europe. And I'm really happy to see that a lot of the fans today remember that era, you know, because Juve's legacy was really, really, you know, unrivaled at the time.
So there will be how to say, old Juventus fans, new Juventus fan is a mix. I see.
Absolutely. There's, of course, in the recent seasons, all the success we saw in this last decade, there are a lot of fans that, you know, came into the Juventus fold. What is really interesting, Iskander, is that they didn't just come in because of a particular player.
Yes.
You know, they came in because of the success of the club, the way the club was being run, everything from the way we were conducting our Mercato to the way that we were performing on the pitch. And that's really good to see. You know, it's not just because of a Ronaldo or because of a Pirlo, you know, and that gives me great joy.
Okay. So, but before we go deep further into the performance of the squad right now, this is the only way that the good things that we can connect to all over Juventus club all over the world. So it's because of this pandemic. That's the only time that this podcast was. I think we already know that there's a lot of podcasts was of you say that Juventus topic about Juventus. So in the event like today, I am grateful that you can join me all the way from India, that we can discuss a lot of things regarding about Juventus. So so far, how does you feel with the squad right now?
Very good question, Iskander. I feel that Juventus at this moment in time, and I feel, you know, I kind of said this before elsewhere, you know, we were due one transition season just in the interest of the bigger picture. It's very important to bring in the right kind of youngsters at the right time. You know, Juve had grown so conditioned by the success that we'd come to a point where we were just trying to hold on to the success and we weren't really paying attention to what's going to happen in the next 5, 7, maybe 10 years. At this point in time, I feel like the management has taken a very conscious call with what happened last year after Sari's departure, bringing in a young coach, bringing in the right kind of young players around him. They grow together to build the next cycle of success. I think unmistakably that's the right way to do it. There is a little bit of a trade-off where we may not win the Scudetto this season, but I think, Iskandar, in the interest of the bigger picture, it's a fair trade-off. Of course, if I had it my way, I want Juve to win every season.
Yes, yeah.
But at what expense were we doing this? We had really old players. They were struggling in Europe. What do we want to achieve at the end of it? All of this domestic success at some point has to translate to European success, to really establish how dominant we are as a team. And I think Juve took a step back to take 2 steps forward. It was the right thing to do. Very conscious decision. Of course, we can debate how Pirlo's appointment is as a coach.
Yeah.
That is a fair, line of questioning. However, in terms of thought, I think it's the right thing to do, to bring in a young coach, surround him with the right kind of young players, and you're playing a certain kind of game, And to be honest, what Juve has had this season, I've seen some really fluid football, and that's been the key highlights for me. Of course, Pirlo as a coach is very young. He almost didn't have a preseason. A lot of his experiments were real time. There's a lot of learning for him that's happening real time, and we have to grant him that. It's unfair to question his coaching credentials. Yes, he did take the job, but he's you can see that the effort is there. You can see that the thought process is aligning. We just need to give it a little bit of time, and I think we're on to something.
Okay. When you witnessed the Napoli Juventus match, so what would you see? What is the problem? In which department are we still weak at? When Napoli against Juve that time, as you can see, it's not the first 11 Napoli team that we need to win that match so badly. People already said we in papers that we already win that match, but suddenly things from never goes as planned. So on that match, where is our weakest link? What's your take on that?
I feel, Iskandar, this has been Juve has had problems in the midfield more than any other region now for a while. The club very consciously decided to try and address that this season. However, I feel we're still missing, a couple of key personnel in the middle. More importantly, with a little bit of creative flair. And our kind of signing, I feel, to me, would just be ideal. The likes of Arthur, McKennie, we're moving in the right direction. Bentancur and Rabiot, they're great players. However, I'm of the opinion that they're not compatible together. A Bentan needs a little bit of a freer role. I think he's being made to sit in front of the defense. It makes it a little harder for him to play his natural game. He's more a forward-thinking player, and some of these mistakes that are creeping up are very unfortunate because he is a bright player. Rabiot, on the other hand, has a key defensive skill sets, which I think we will probably see Pirlo implement over maybe the next few months. However, Arthur to me is absolutely key to this midfield. His ability to hold on to the ball is something that nobody else on the mid has. And I think it needs to be complemented with the right kind of creative flair around him, which I think we're missing. And hopefully the coming Mercato, that is on priority. As far as our defense goes, I think Paratici has done a fabulous job. Just to have the likes of, De Ligt and Demirel as backup to Bonucci and Chiellini, I think that is world-class depth, for a position as specialized as the CB. In attack, of course, we've all got the main man. Unfortunately, Dybala's had a very indifferent season, and we, some of it plagued by injury, some of it with the contract discussion. I'm hoping that situation eases out because we definitely do need his presence towards the end of the season, because he will be a key difference maker. Morata has settled well. However, he's fallen off the grid a little bit, and I hope he finds his confidence as quickly as possible.
Okay, because in the social media, lots of pinpointing finger, as you say, like Pirlo put the players not in their natural position. They have to try, and he have to try out and try and try. Is it because of the players not not play their favorite position? Is it because of that this squad is not playing a good football?
Again, Iskandar, fair point. That is definitely a point worth considering. It's entirely possible that playing out of position is hard to do, especially when it's more than one player at a time on the pitch. In addition to that, I think Pirlo has some very clear ideas of the way he wants to play football. So a player really playing out of their natural position, then having to play a very specific kind of football that the coach is demanding. Sometimes there can be a little bit of a dissonance there. However, having said that, I think Pirlo is also learning on the job, Iskandar, and I feel the more he kind of learns from these mistakes, the faster we will grow as a team. I do see that at times he's able to rectify mistakes that he makes. Some of them are absolutely rookie mistakes. There have been situations where there's been a player on a yellow card and he hasn't subbed him out, and the player ends up getting a red. It's a rookie mistake, but I know I haven't seen that happen again. In the same way, when Pirlo sees that he's not getting the team to move the ball as fast as he would like, I know he will bring those players back into their natural fold. Of course, there is a double-edged sword here, because you look at a player like Danilo, for instance.
Yes.
Pirlo's playing him in a specific position that Pirlo sees, and he's rediscovered him as a player. Danilo, for me, was the weakest link in the Sarri team, and today he's one of the players with the most number of minutes.
So with this squad right now, what is the best formation would you play them? The squad that we have right now, the players, which is the best formation for the team?
I feel, Iskandar, well, it may be an unpopular opinion or it may just be a popular one. I feel like the flat 4-4-2 is probably serving our interest best. What I feel Pirlo wants to do is, though, he wants to continue to experiment with a hybrid system, where we are a certain formation in the press and we're a certain formation off the press. With the likes of Ronaldo, and I think once Dybala is fit, I think Morata, Dybala, and Ronaldo, for all of them, I think it's in their best interest to play a 4-4-2. I don't see Dybala playing the wide man role in a 4-3-3, for instance. I feel his best position is closest to goal. The minute you throw him wide, he starts falling deep and solving neither purpose. I think in whatever role that Pirlo wants the team to, whatever shape and form the Pirlo wants the team to take, McKennie is an absolutely pivotal player, because he gives us the extra man in attack and he gives us the extra man in defense. He's very crucial to, Pirlo's plans going forward.
So, okay. But now, the problem, like we will say, there's not much scoring from the attacking department as for now. We are already how many games that they never score. Did you see the partnership of if you want to play 4-4-2, the partnership between Morata and Ronaldo, or Kulusevski and Ronaldo? Which one would you prefer?
Personally, Iskandar, for me, everything that I have seen, I feel like Morata and Ronaldo have the best understanding. And, there's a lot of people that debate this, where they feel that Ronaldo shouldn't necessarily start every game. However, I feel there's also a mental shift in the team every time he's on the pitch. The team actually believes he's the guy who can change the game. And more often than not, he is the guy who can change the game. So the team is also mentally, irrespective of what the coach is asking, the team is depending on Ronaldo. So I see him to continue to be a starter. And in the interest of him being a starter, I would just play the player who is most compatible with him. To me, it's clear that that is Morata. Morata understands the space between the lines. Morata also creates space for Ronaldo. Yeah, unlike Dybala. Dybala just doesn't have the physical presence in the box.
But as you can see now, the maybe fatigue does how to put in does play a part in the performance of the squad, because in a week they have to play maybe 3 matches in a week. So would you rather choose your best 11, or you rather to do a full rotation for the squad? Because if you do a full rotation, maybe this players doesn't really, how to say, connect when every time when there's a match there's a change of players, because what we see right now, like what I see is like Pirlo needs to have his best 11. Then from there, maybe in the second half, maybe you can change. But really, if you keep on rotation and changing, there's no click in everyone. What's your take on that?
Absolutely agree with you 100%. It's very important. We're a big team, which means if you're a big club, you're competing in 3 competitions year in, year out. Depth is extremely important, especially with the 5-man sub rule. However, when you play, these are not to play for Juventus, Iskander. You have to be a certain caliber of player, which means you have the legs on you. You are conditioned to play three games a week if need be. You're in 3 competitions. You have to play 2 games a week in, week out. You're conditioned by it. So there's absolutely no question. If given the choice, I'd like the same team to perform week in, week out, twice a week if necessary. Of course, it's really important to bring in the rotation more from just the tired leg perspective. It's also the club, coming together as a collective, where every player feels like they are part of the project. That's important because that's good for the dressing room. And I see that, and I see that Pirlo makes a very conscious effort of doing that, because I've seen him pick really young players. He's given Fagioli a chance. He's given Dragusin a chance. It's very good to see that he's got an eye on the youngsters. That is so important for us. A lot of us, Iskander, are conditioned by Juve always trading the youngsters. Even if we buy youngsters, we'll always buy youngsters from another country or another club. But we will never, blood our own youngsters. And I see that change with Pirlo, even though Frabotta is not necessarily a Juve youngster, he's come through the ranks. He's not an out-and-out Juve youngster, but he gave him a break. I see it with Dragusin, which is great. To see Fagioli, which is a huge discovery. All of us were so pleasantly surprised. I think we will see more of him in the matches to come. And all of that is credit to Pirlo,
Okay. The Champions League match against Porto. Where is the problem? Because what we see now that, like in the past, when every team plays with Juve, they are really, how to say, they already accept defeat before they play. Means who wants to play with Juventus when they got so many talent players? But now things are changing. Means Juve, like it's like a normal club. Doesn't have that vibe or that strength like in the old days. What's the problem when in the Champions League, when Porto, Juventus, it's because when we lost to Napoli, the motivation is down, or maybe some of the players that you can see is not a team player. They want to get to somewhere individual. So there's a big difference between that. So what's your take on that? When Porto against Juve, it's the real problem, if you can see?
Iskander, absolutely no doubt in my mind that Juve has no alibis here, no excuses. This is the tournament that we want. We have wanted it for a very long time. I think the way we showed up was absolutely, was borderline embarrassing. At that level, with the kind of players we have, you can't do, you can't make elementary mistakes of the kind that we made, and we made them more than once in the same game. Where now it's the knockouts. The time to kind of stay switched off is gone. We're at the business end. There's absolutely no excuse for the Juve performance that we saw the other night. However, I do feel that even though we were 2-0 down, what was heartening to see was that we didn't give up. They were still running in a few players. Credit to the likes of Chiesa for being a non-stop runner in that game. He ended up scoring. I do think that the away goal kind of gives us a little bit more motivation and a little bit more belief, to take this going forward. I'm okay with whatever result shows up, but I'm not okay with the performance. And I think that is something that, Juve will have absolutely no excuse with for the return game in Turin. They have to be switched on 90 minutes. The game doesn't end 90 minutes. You stay switched on. Especially with the likes of Ronaldo, you've got Mr. Champions League in your team, and you're not getting past the likes of Ajax, with due respect, Lyon, and potentially Porto. No excuse. I'm sorry. So yeah.
So if you have the chance, to choose, are you going to extend Ronaldo contract? When he already said you want to extend my contract, there's no salary cut. You have to pay me that amount. With his performance, as we already see what against Napoli, then against Porto, would you extend his contract? Or maybe should we buy another players with his caliber? Youngsters that can, it's good, but it will be very, very costly. Are you going to extend him or to buy another player? Which will you choose?
I feel, Iskander, at the time of signing Ronaldo, really, for me personally, I felt like this was a decision that had to do more with off-the-field marketing than it did with on-the-field results. Juve is a very successful club without the likes of a phenomenon like Ronaldo. It was really, we'd come up with a new logo. We're doing a lot of rebranding activities off the field. Ronaldo is the ideal catalyst, to grow a brand. He is the biggest brand on Instagram, and we ended up being the biggest Italian brand after signing him, So clearly the strategy is paying off. As far as, and in that time, of course, the benefit of him being an on-pitch performer is fabulous. He's not just carried us really well in the Serie A, he's also done a fabulous job in Europe. I think, Iskander, that apart, he's also a very natural leader. And I think that temperament, that old school grinta that we are used to as Juve fans, he's one of the guys that really embodies that grinta. And I want to see more of that in the youngsters. I think he's the right kind of channel to influence, youngsters who are coming into the system. And I think in the interest of everything, in the interest of the marketing dynamics, in the interest of giving us, one more year of Ronaldo on the team, in the interest of inspiring youngsters. Also keep in mind, the longer Ronaldo stays on the Juve team, the more every new young superstar breaking in, they will aspire to join Juve, which I think is a huge added benefit. They would anyway, but I think Ronaldo being around is a catalyst. It was great. Now we have the likes of Ronaldo, you have the likes of De Ligt. Tomorrow, if we make a bid for Mbappe would seriously consider Juve, largely because Ronaldo's an idol, So I think there is a benefit of him staying, and I would extend his contract. Yes.
Okay. Now, I think on the social media you already saw what Arsene Wenger does comment regarding about things like what Ronaldo wants. The other players is not up to that level to play his kind of football. Do you agree to that?
It's Iskander, it's a very layered thought actually, because what has happened at Juve is it's a very specific situation. Um, these are the same players that have carried Juve to Champions League finals.
Yeah.
So it's not that they are not the level of Ronaldo. What the situation really is that what Ronaldo brings with him is a certain amount of an aura, and any club, I mean, outside of Juve and Madrid, if he was to go anywhere, every player is going to look for him on the pitch. And that is what's happening at Juve as well. What happens is that you may not end up playing your national game because you're looking for Ronaldo on the pitch. And when Ronaldo gets the ball, more often than not, it's in the back of the net. So it may look like the players around him are not capable, but what it is that they're more just mentally dependent on him. Juve is not a club that, with due respect, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, where they're looking out for young talent necessarily to kind of groom. Juve is a club challenging for key titles. And what happens as a result is that the kind of people coming in have to have a certain amount of repertoire. These are not just young players, they're established players in their own right. Some of them are World Cup winners, like the likes of Matuidi or, Pogba before he won the World Cup, of course. But they're all established, when they come through the system.
So are you, are you optimistic that we're going to grab the 10 in a row Scudetto this season?
I'm a very optimistic fan, Iskandar.
Yes.
However, with the optimism, we have to be realistic. I think what the situation really is that Juve this is as far as I'm concerned, it's a transitional season. I think for me personally, if we finish in the top 3 or top 4, it's okay. I think Pirlo deserves to continue in the role. He needs time to kind of grow. The players need time to kind of grow and find their footing. We also need time in case of a handover from Ronaldo to transit from the Ronaldo era into the next era of players, in attack. So I would say that, I think we're doing a good job, but we haven't been consistent enough.
Yeah.
And I think consistency is the hallmark of, any domestic title race. If we're able to switch on, I think we'd be hard to beat because we've got all the depth. However, personally, I think the next couple of match days are absolutely crucial. We have the Milan derby happening tonight. Juve absolutely cannot afford to drop points over the next couple of match days. If we're able to stay in the race, maybe give or take 4 to 6 points off the top of the table, we're very much in it. Of course, if that divide grows a little further, then I would say that Juve are unlikely to, retain the title and achieve the decima.
Because we already won the Super Copa when the time when we already beat the team. So we are entering the final of Coppa Italia. Will you see, is there any chance that we're going to leave that trophy? We're going to miss that badge, that badge, the Super Copa badge, because it was taken out by Napoli. So, is there any chance that we're going to win the Coppa Italia against Atalanta soon?
No, absolutely. I think we've got a very fair shot. Also, I think, what I've noticed of Pirlo's Juve is they seem like more a cup and a competition team than they do like a domestic title race team. These are very, there are certain signatures of these kind of teams. They play with a certain amount of fancy and flair. There's a fluidity about that football, which obviously sometimes compromises, defensive attributes at times. And I feel like when I see this Juve play, I think that they're very capable of going on and achieving big things in cup competitions. However, they need a little bit more experience for the domestic title race.
Yeah. So would you agree if you're going to pairing between Chiellini and Bonucci, Demiral and De Ligt, like, for example, let Chiellini and Bonucci handle the Champions League. If we go through further after beating Porto, and De Ligt and Demiral will stay and focus on Serie A, would you agree to that arrangement?
To me, Iskandar, if Chiellini is fit, I think he needs to be on the pitch. He's got an effect similar to Ronaldo. You know,
Yeah.
he's a leader, natural born leader. I think he's just got immense experience in the way to handle not just certain tackles, but certain match situations. He's got that calming influence on the pitch, you know, and what happens is really a lot of us as fans, we've learned to pay attention to his in-game management. You know, when you're leading 1-0,
Yeah.
it's the last 12 minutes of the game. You need the right kind of players to stay on the pitch to help you manage that time. You know, you're not very rushed. You're not prone to mistakes. You're learning to stay composed. That is a skill that Chiellini absolutely, possesses. So as far as I'm concerned, he has to be in all competitions. To me, the ideal partner for him is De Ligt. I think a Chiellini De Ligt combination is really something I want to see with some continuity. However, Chiellini's been a little injury prone of late. Yeah. He's aging. May not get to see it over an extended period of time, but most definitely, Demiral and De Ligt are one to watch for the future.
Okay, if you are given the chance to buy a player, which player will you choose? The only player that gonna suits Juventus right now.
Hands down, Iskandar Aouar. Hands down, no question. It's just something that we've been missing for a very long time. We just need to get that kind of player in the middle of the pitch, and I think we will see a very different side to achieving the capability and potential that this Juve is capable of delivering.
Okay, because in my past podcast, there's a special guest that really focus on the midfield. He would say that we need a robust midfield player that can stop every opponent from the center going into our defense. Would you want a robust player in the midfield? Because people will say our midfield player is too polite to allow them to come.
This, Iskandar, to me is just again a function of the way the personnel are managing the middle. I feel when you have the likes of Arthur and McKennie in the mid together, automatically it's very robust, because McKennie is a very robust player moving forward. He creates a lot of openings and positioning. Arthur is a very robust player on the ball. It's almost impossible to take the ball off Arthur, even when he's sitting really deep in front of the defense. He's to me, I think that is no longer as much a problem as a creative ability in the defense. And neither Benton nor Rabiot have that ability. They're great physical presence. They're both good runners with the ball. Rabiot's got a great build to play, the defensive aspect as a DM. Benton's great running forward with the ball, but neither of them have the creative flair that an Aouar has.
Yeah.
Which is what we were expecting of Aaron Ramsey this season. And when he's been on song, it's been fabulous to watch. Unfortunately, it's been few and far between. The inconsistency is just down to how injury prone he is. So really, we need a replacement for Ramsey.
Okay, when you say the best formation for the Juventus squad right now would be 4-4-2. So I will let you choose who is your best player that plays on that formation. Who are you going to choose?
Okay, so Alexandro on the left. I would have Chiellini center. I would have De Ligt center. I'd have either Danilo, Cuadrado, either way on the right. Preferably, I would have Danilo on the right, and I would play Cuadrado higher up. Okay. Of course, this would also mean that we would have to play Chiesa on the wide left. In the center, I would actually have Arthur, Rabiot, McKennie, with Chiesa on the left, McKennie playing far outright wide, and I would have Ronaldo and Morata up top.
So this will be your best 11 if you can choose the Juventus squad right now. The funny thing is we have the same players that I'm going to choose is the same. It's the same players that I'm going to choose. So our minds does connect well. See, yeah, from because maybe us as an outsider from what we see, we knows, but we don't know what Pirlo thinks, that why he doesn't want to play this player, why he changed the formation, why he put the players. We don't know. Hopefully, everything's is getting well as planned, so that the club can go through much further, and we still in the running of 4 trophies this year. Yeah, hopefully. So, what's your your prediction, the game against Porto next? What's the second leg? What will be your prediction, that are we going to win big? Are we going to maybe 1-0 that we will go through because of the away goal? What's your take on it? What's your prediction?
You know, Iskandar, this game, it's so tight that I feel it can go either way. I do feel Juve have a little bit of an advantage because of the away goal. You know, they have that belief. It really comes down to the players that end up being on the pitch on that day. You know, we had some key absentees. I think, you know, if Arthur and Cuadrado were to return, I think, you know, Juve will have a different, you know, verve about them. As far as I'm concerned, if the game goes love all really late, I think Juve will nick a 1-love late in the maybe 70 to 90-minute period. However, if they score early, I think it could be like a 3-1 kind of game to Juve, and I see Juve advance in both situations.
So if, for example, because if we advance after beating Porto, does you see that we're gonna go further than that, or after Porto that's it?
No, there's absolutely a very good chance that Juve could, you know, if we get past Porto, I think Juve could run really deep in this Champions League. Because let's keep in mind, Iskandar, that Pirlo is not a guy with a lot of emotional baggage as far as the competition goes.
Yes.
He's the guy who's just come out of fresh. He's not scared. There's no fear. You know, he's going to set the team up exactly the way he wants. He's instilling that same mentality in the players, where we're not going to have to sit and, you know, be afraid that we're getting knocked out. We're just going to go out and have fun. And I think that's a great attitude for Europe. You know, if we end up playing, you know, the couple of games that we've seen Juve play with against the likes of Roma and Sampdoria, I think this Juve can go really deep in the Champions League.
Okay, last but not least, what's your prediction next against Crotone?
Well, if the players love their job and they want to remain Juve players, I would imagine that we would. If I remember, we had drawn the last game against Crotone, I think 1-1, if I'm not mistaken. I think anything less than a 2-love would be, would show a lack of effort and determination. So 2-love is the bare minimum that I would expect from this quality of players.
So are you ready not to win the Scudetto and the Champions League this season? Because we are too, you will say Juventus fans, we are too spoiled or pampered, because we already won the Scudetto 9 in a row, year after year after year. But suddenly when it happens, you know, in the social media, we will say Pirlo out, this must change, this must change. Are you, as a fan, are you ready not to win the Scudetto this season?
You know, Iskandar, the thing is that all of us as fans, we want Juve to win every year.
Yes.
But the reality of it is you can't win every year. And the other reality is, let's not forget that there are more years to come. And for that, you have to build a foundation. You're not just going to win the Scudetto or win even 2 Scudettos in a row if you don't have a core and a foundation to build on. You know, every cycle, no matter how big the team is, how great they are, every cycle has to come to an end. Our cycle probably came to an end maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago. It's just that we kept adapting and, trying to find quick fixes. That is not the solution in the long run. We want to set the foundation for another era, 10 years of dominance. And to do that, you need to take one step back to take two steps forward. We absolutely need to find the right youngsters. We can't just keep buying the Ronaldos of the world. I think we understand that. What is our business model? Our business model is shaped so much like Bayern Munich or a Liverpool, that you're bringing in youngsters, you're making them play a certain identity of football. And that is how you're going to achieve success in the long haul. It's been the hallmark of all Juve teams. I mean, no matter how big the player is, we've always made these players who they are. Hopefully that doesn't change. Ronaldo is an exception, but he's a once in a lifetime kind of player.
Yeah.
But past him, we're not going to buy the next established Ronaldo. We're going to buy the next guy with the capability of being a Ronaldo. And that's the way forward. So to me, a transition season was always due. Now this season to me was supposed to happen 2 years ago.
Yes.
It didn't. To me, absolutely, this is it. And as long as we finish top 3, top 4, Pirlo absolutely deserves to continue. There is no question, because we've decided to go forward. There is a thought of a project. That project needs time. It needs patience. Whether you're a Juve fan or a Juve director, you have to acknowledge that. You can't just bring someone who's never coached before, and then blame him alone for not winning the title. There's so many things that can go wrong. There can be injuries. You may not have the right kind of player personnel. It can be anything. So I'm sure the management has thought this through. The objectives should be basic. We need Champions League qualification, absolutely. A top 4 finish, and I think Pirlo must continue.
Okay, as a rookie coach, I think he has done a great job of winning the Coppa Italia, the Super Coppa. Then we are entering the final of Coppa Italia. We are in the Champions League knockout stages. We are in the road to the 10th Scudetto. I think he's done a great job for me as again. He has. We need to be patient, or he need to take time to build up the squad, and hopefully he find the right players to the team. Okay.
Absolutely, Iskandar. And let's not forget, we're talking about a guy who's never coached before.
Yeah.
Let's just for a minute think about the likes of Pep or the likes of Klopp. When they were appointed at the likes of City and Liverpool, they didn't win immediately. It takes time, This Juve is a new Juve. It's not the Juve of old that started under Conte, grew under Allegri, and then, came towards an end under Sarri. This is a brand new project. We have to treat it like that. And we have to be patient. It will yield long-lasting results if we just give it a little bit of time and don't feel entitled.
Okay, last but not least, is there any last words from you to all the Juventini out there who is watching this podcast channel? Any last words?
Absolutely. A big hello to everyone. I'm just so glad that we're all part of this huge Juve community. It's a very special club. I think, it's one of those few clubs with so much tradition and history. And it's got such a romance about it, the legacy of the club. It's one of those few clubs that has some really, really generational players that have donned the jersey of this club, and it makes me just so proud to be a Juve fan. Even prouder that I've been able to see them, all the way from 1995. It's a very special connection. Juve in many ways is just like a cult, and every Juve fan that lives and breathes Juve will know exactly what I mean. We're living a very good time in our history. Let's celebrate, whether this is 9 in a row or 10 in a row. It needs to be celebrated. I think it's never going to happen again in our lifetimes. It's an incomparable achievement. We have someone like Cristiano Ronaldo playing for us. You have a legend of a coach. I think very good times for the club. More good times to come. We've got a very aware management. Look at the Mercato we had. It's brilliant. We've got some of the hottest young stars on the team now. I think McKennie is going to be an absolute breakout. Arthur is special. They already established it at Barcelona when Messi thought he was the second coming of Xavi. if he grows, we've got a jewel on our hands for years to come. We're probably going to have the best defense for the next 5-7 years with the likes of Delit and Demiral. So very good times to come, and I think all of us need to stay proud. Say it loud, say it proud. Forza Juve.
Forza Juve. Okay. But before we go, I would like to shout out to all subscribers out there. Do follow us in this JSG podcast channel. Do subscribe, like, and share of this channel. Don't forget, stay tuned next weekend for a new episode and a new guest. So goodbye from us, and lastly, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Ciao, ciao.
Fino alla fine.
Ciao, ciao. Goodbye.
Forza Juve.
Bye.